everybody, how's it going? Today is Saturday. I had to peek at that because I kind of forgot. Hope you guys are all doing really well. And thanks for joining us again after we took a little bit of a day to rest and catch up on our, well, we didn't really catch up on our sleep. We never sleep, and I don't think we ever will sleep again. But our 4-month-old twins are having the good old-fashioned sleep regression, so we had to deal with some of that. And then yesterday also Morgan was at the shop all day doing some printing and shipping out a lot of orders that had come in through the online shop. So if you have placed an order, thank you so much. It's really helping to keep us afloat right now, especially if you participated in last night's virtual First Friday, which is a new thing that the City of Colorado Springs is doing instead of their typical First Friday where people just kind of stroll around town and go to different galleries and stuff. They had a virtual First Friday event, for those of you who aren't familiar. And what they did was a really cool program where they teamed up with the B. Friedenberg Foundation, and they matched, they made a gift of $50 for every purchase that was made over $50 in any small business in downtown Colorado Springs. So that was actually a really huge help for us. It really was a huge boost for us and just really made us feel like things might, well, I don't know if things will be okay, but at least we feel loved and supported by you all. So that was like a really awesome thing. Morgan just ran out the door with Gio and Roland. She is dropping off our compost because our soil cycle friends are not doing it, which I totally respect and understand why. So she is gonna be not here for the most of the show, I think, probably. Show. I like thinking this is a show. Hey Sarah, what's up? Our good friend Sarah Darling. Oh, I just realized I had quinoa on my shirt. Oh well. I feel like I'm joining just to feel like I'm hanging out with you. Me too. You know, I feel like I should have a cocktail, Sarah, and we can complain about things together. We will hang out soon, very soon. We have, our downloads. If you guys haven't downloaded our special line guide on our website, it is free. It is here for you. You can be printed on any paper. This is actually kind of a thicker weight paper, which is really nice. And I like drawing on thicker paper when I'm drawing on paper because it doesn't bleed. I like using a really, smooth, thick paper. It really helps the pens kind of glide across the page. And of course I love using my old trusty microns, which of course I don't have any right here in front of me. We also have our hand lettering kit that includes our little booklet full of goodies. And if you like the whole kit, it comes with a bag, it comes with the pens. If you just want the book itself, that is able to be downloaded on its own on our website. We have other cool things too. We just finished printing. Morgan actually brought one home, and it's in the other room, so I'm not going to scoot out and get it. I'll bring it tomorrow, but she printed the We Will Always Figure It Out prints. They look so nice. She printed them on the Vandercook, and they're just like really like a real nice deep impression, really like solid in coverage. Like they just look beautiful. So we have those prints available on our website. We also have a postcard program now. So they're $1. It costs us about $1 to make them and ship them out. So if you would like to just pay $1, we will send the postcard out for you. And then there's options if you want to make a donation so that other people can send out the postcards as well. That is an option on the website as well. So check out the postcard program, the print, other freebies that we have online. But without any further ado, we're gonna get to work over here. I'm trying to, so Frankie's upstairs sleeping in her crib, and I'm trying to get the cameras set up so that I can see her, but you know what? I'll probably be able to hear her. She's just upstairs from me. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swing this guy around. Morgan's not here to be my Vanna White today, so I'm gonna have to position it and make sure I got everything okay here. Oh wait, no, that's not it. How do I do this? All right, this is better. As you can see, I was doing a little bit of work here on the computer for our Shopify. Let me pull up our Photoshop. Sorry, I'm not exactly 100% prepared here today. Oh my goodness. Yes, I can do this, I swear. And I swear. All right, so this is our N from the other day. Banana. I am not going to be able to see what you guys are writing, so what I'm going to try to do is do our letter O in the serif and sans serif and script style, and then I'm going to try to give myself a little bit of time at the end to go through and see if you guys had any questions and answer any of those. So thank you for your patience. Okay, so we are going to get started with the sans serif mono weight letter O. So, hello. It's giving me a little delay here. There we go, mono weight, sans serif. Serif for the little feet on the end of your letters, and sans, which means no feet. So we are going to draw some letters that do not have feet today, starting off, and then we will get to the serif style in a little bit. But first we're going to start out with a mono weight sans serif, which, as you can tell from the title, is one weight. It does not vary in weight of the stroke. It doesn't vary in contrast of the stroke, so it's going to be very, very, a very geometric type of lettering style. And it's going to be especially tricky because we're going to be drawing the letter O, which is, you know, in your mind, a very sort of like, oh, it's a circle, or it has to be very perfect, or it's a little harder than drawing something that can have some variation. But the nice thing about what we're doing here today, I hear Frankie. Hold on a second, guys. I'll be right back. I thought I heard her. Oh, hold on. Okay. Sorry, folks. Oh, boy. I know. Oh, honey bear. Okay. I'm sorry, everybody. You know what? I am going to feed her. But I'm also going to see if I can answer some questions for you guys while I'm here. Sorry about the... I'm so sorry. Okay. Anyway, while I feed a baby, does anybody have any questions about lettering or Ladyfingers or letters, pens, tools? Hit me. What do you got? What are you watching on Netflix? What are you making for dinner? Talk to me. What's going on? I've got 4 ounces here. We got some time. Let me think. We have been, oh, you know what? I should have grabbed that print while I was running. But I was running so fast to get you. I'm sorry, Franks. Frances is our little girl twin. How did you get into letterpress? That's a good question. So I did no printmaking in college. I went to Parsons School of Design in New York, and just was really into drawing and lettering and doing things by hand. I went to school during the year 2000 to 2004, so that was kind of like the burst of technology and everybody was crazy about Photoshop. Morgan was at RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, as a printmaking major. Oh, thank you. I'm trying to mom here. Morgan went to RISD for printmaking, and there's a funny story where her dad was like, so what do printmaking majors do when they get out of college? What kind of jobs do they get? And she was like, oh, well, all of the printmakers I know that graduated just work at Whole Foods. But when she graduated from college, she was actually, Daria, my love, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. When Morgan graduated from college, she had applied for a grant this is going to sound like I'm making this up. I'm not making this up. She applied for a grant to fly her hot air balloon across Europe that she built when she was a senior at RISD. She had somehow convinced the printmaking department that building a white hot air balloon, was printmaking. And they believed her, and she said, oh, I'm going to print on it one day, and ended up not printing it. So she's this beautiful white hot air balloon. But she applied for this grant where she was going to fly it across Europe. She did not get the grant, luckily, because then she was riding her bike past this building that I was working in, and she stopped because she was like, what do I do now? And turns out that the building was it belonged to this arts nonprofit that I was working at, and we wanted to have a print shop in there, but we had all these meetings and met with printmakers, and everyone's like, we should have silkscreen, we should have letterpress, we should have this and that, and nobody was actually doing any of the work. So she rides her bike along, she sees this space, she becomes part of the community, she dazzles everyone with her ability to just get stuff done, and she opens this community print shop at the organization called AS220 in Providence, Rhode Island. And so instead of flying her balloon across Europe, she started this amazing community resource that offered printmaking classes, and then you could rent time to make your own work. And letterpress was one of the printmaking methods that was part of the print shop. And at the time, I was working at the organization as like the in-house communications director, graphic designer. And I had been, designing stuff, posters and programs and stuff, but always getting it done digitally printed. And they made a letterpress all of a sudden. I was like, heck yeah, let's letterpress some stuff. So she and I started collaborating on stuff, and I kept being really creepy and trying to hug her, and I guess it worked. my not so subtle hints worked out, I guess, in the end. And we got engaged. We letterpress printed our wedding invitation, and this blogger saw it on our Flickr site and featured it on her stationery blog, which at the time was like the MTV of stationery. We were like, oh my god, oh so beautiful paper, it's amazing, and just kind of like kicked off our business. Our wedding invitation went viral. All of a sudden we had all these people wanting wedding invitations. And so we just got into just doing letterpress all the time. And we were, she had still been working for AS220. I had already left. And then she just quit her job in like the month before we got married and just kind of like went at it. We found a press at an antique store and started printing. And so Morgan is the printer. She is the real mechanical wizard behind all of this. Love to see the invitation sometime. I think it's on our website, maybe. If you Google Arlie and Morgan wedding invitation, I think it might pop up. So you can try doing that. It's like this neon hand-lettered poster. And at the time, that was like year 2010, 2011. 2011 we got married, sorry. And letterpress at the time was still very formal. You know, you still had the copper plate, you still had Baskerville, you still had like people setting, it is. Okay, so it is on our website. Thank you, Kristen. Kristen, yeah. So letterpress was still very formal, and then all of a sudden we did this like wild neon printed poster. And I think that just kind of opened the doors for a lot of people to be like, I guess we can do anything with letterpress. It doesn't have to be these old-fashioned woodcuts, and it doesn't have to be this oldie-timey thing. I mean, printing on the letterpress is kind of oldie-timey. It's very manual. You're using your hands. You're inking it up one color at a time, and using a lot of precision and skill. But we were able to use polymer plates. So the way polymer plates work is that you have a design. You still eating? Yeah? You have a design. You export a PDF. You have a film made. From the film, you expose a polymer plate from the negative. It's similar if you're familiar with silk screen printing, exposing a screen. Ye oldie timey. It's super ye oldie timey. But the polymer plates kind of bring it up to the 21st century. I love you too, Darian. And so that's been it. Morgan operates, let me think, 3 different types of presses. We have 4 letter presses in our shop. We have a Chandler and Price platen press from 1904. We have a Vandercook from the 1940s. And we have 2 Mealy vertical presses also from the 1940s. And we have a baby with a bald spot right there. And so she does all of the printing. We use the Mealy verticals for the... Hi, Carla. Carla was our intern from London. Hi, baby. She flew all the way over here and was our intern for a few weeks, and was awesome. She came to our class in Iceland first. And I'm glad to see you. I hope you're doing well, Carla. But yeah, we use all of our presses to print all of our own work. The Mealys are the fastest, so we use those. But the Vandercook is like... We talk about it as like the gateway drug of letterpress. It's kind of the easiest to use and gets people hooked really easily. All right, so Frankie, you gonna tell everybody, I'm finished eating now. That was delicious. Thank you for feeding me. I'm gonna go lay in this thing over here now, and I'm just gonna be quiet and cute. So, enjoy the class. Okay. All right, Franks. Have a seat. Alrighty. Good job, Bubs. Oh no. Yes, I'm wearing sweatpants. Darn, you guys figured me out. I'm like, I'm gonna look professional in a button-down shirt, but I'm gonna wear sweatpants. And now you all know my secret. You laughing at me, Frankie? Alrighty. So here we are. Back on the letter zero, the letter O. Oh, goodness. All right, let's get back to this then. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make our outer shape of our mono-weight sans serif capital O. And you'll see here this is not perfect by any means. It's a little wonky, it's a little funky, but you know what we're going to try to do? We're going to do our best to kind of even that out. And we're going to draw to our best of abilities, the inner shape of this O. And it's going to be friggin' wonky. Look at how weird that looks. That is just weird. But we're going to kind of fill this in. We're going to do our best. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our tools to refine it. So we're going to use this opportunity to kind of go around and kind of thicken the places that need thickening. And if you are using a digital tool right now, you can use your eraser to kind of trim down some of the wonkiness. If you are not using digital tools, if you have a pen or a paper, if you have like a white jelly roll or a white paint marker, that can be useful in occasions like this. But here's the thing, hand lettering is not a exact science. The people that design fonts or the people that really like hand letter for it to be perfect are spending a lot of time on each letter form and have a lot of practice doing it. If perfecting a capital letter O in a mono style is essential to your core being of existence, you probably will want to practice that a lot, but really don't get too hard on yourself if it is not a beautiful, shining, glimmering example of lettering on the first stab. You sort of give yourself a little bit of a pass with hand lettering and the letter O. You can let it be wonky and let it be, but let it shine. Let it be wonky and awesome. So we're also gonna go and do this lowercase o, and you see what I did there? I just kind of like thickened it up as I went along. If that helps, if that's easier for you, I would say go for it. Your O's are not going to be, totally circular. They have a little bit of a ovalness to them. You can try to make more circular O's, but next time you pick up a book or look at a magazine, try to look at a letter O. It is not circular. They're definitely a little bit pinchier, a little bit more narrow here. They're like thinner here than they are tall. But if there are some typefaces that have very geometric O's, something like this, and they're very interesting, but you also don't want to, get it confused for a zero or a circle. So there is a merit and a reason to why this is a little bit more narrow and condensed. We are going to draw a capital O in the sans serif style, and this time we're going to have a little bit of contrast. And contrast means that not, right here what we were trying to do is make this the same width as this, the same width as this, the same width as this. With contrast, you want to give yourself a little bit of differentiation between the up and down strokes and the cross strokes. So if you guys have been following us, you know that our little trick here is that when you have when you have an up and down shape called a stem, that is usually really thick. If you have a crossbar, that is usually thin. If you have a stroke that goes up to the right, that is usually going to be thin. And if you have a stroke that goes down to the right, that is usually thick. Now, if you guys were here for our letter M's and N's, you'll know that there are some exceptions to the rules, because both M's and N's have some sort of cheats to that rule. But the letter O is pretty cut and dry when it comes to that. You really want your up and down parts to be thick, and you want your more horizontal elements to be a little thinner in your letter O. So if we were to draw a sans serif letter O, and I guess your letter O is going to be sans serif whether it's there's no serifs in an O. So I guess we could kind of do this pretty quickly here. We could kind of zip right on into the script style. And notice what I did there is I drew this kind of in the same same stroke. I'm not lifting my pen, and I'm just kind of filling it in as I went along. One of the reasons I do that is because I feel like my hand has this kind of muscle memory, right? If you are sitting there and you're drawing one shape kind of consistently, it's going to, you know, be pretty. It's like your muscles have this like memory that it just repeated that shape, so you're able to do it again really kind of quickly. If you made your initial shape here and then you want to come back and repeat that shape, it's going to be a little bit harder, and it's not going to look quite as fluid as if you did it all in one go. So really try to give yourself some time and space to be uninterrupted when you're drawing an O, because having that initial flow is pretty important. Now you'll see that these are a little bit different. This one's a little bit more narrow here at the top. This one's a little bit more like squatty. Those are okay. You really want to try to make sure that your total width though of the letter O is similar to your C's or your G's. Obviously, it's going to be thinner, wider than a capital I, unless you do a monospace. And thank you whoever was on the class the other day. I was really trying to think of this word. I could not think of it for the life of me. But a monospace, style is when all of your letters are the same width. So your O's are as wide as your I's, and that would be like the font Courier, which sort of originated, if you think about the typewriter, you have your little letter I on the little typewriter arm, right? And then your O is also on there. These are my little typewriter, little, what do you call them? Little hammers, whatever they're called. So yeah, monospace is really the only instance when all of your letters are the same width. But unless you're doing a monospace one, your O's and your G's and your C's are going to be a little bit thicker. Now, let's also talk about these thick parts and these thin parts, because these can be a little bit challenging. If you guys have been with me for this class for a while, you'll know that I like to think of these shoulders as like a ribbon, where you have a ribbon as it goes up and down, but when you try to curve a ribbon, it doesn't curve exactly like this. It gets a little bit pinched at the bottom. So I really want you to think about, that. So if, this ribbon had an axis, the axis would be here. But your axis for your O is right down the middle. So you want to just be cautious to make your, tapering, pretty sort of, what's the word I'm trying to say? Tapered. You want to taper your taper enough so that it's not, a real, really sudden taper. You don't want it to be too jarring, but you also don't want it to go beyond this axis either, because if you drew an O that had, let's draw this for example here, example's sake. So normally you would have an O that is, you have your contrast on the right hand side. Now if you went ahead and if you really made your contrast thick on the bottom, I'm trying to do this very, very like a very obnoxious example here. I'm going to actually kind of... So there are some fonts that have this kind of inverted structure, but you'll see that it just like totally looks crazy to have your contrast on the tops and bottoms instead of the left and right. Oh, I think Morgan and Geo and Roland are home. So yeah, it just kind of looks like it's sitting on its side, sleeping. Not like my kids, that's for sure. So that's why we don't make the tops and bottoms too thick. But really, you know, if you have these, this line guide at home, really try to draw a bunch of O's and, you know, fill up your whole line. See how that goes. Hi, Geo.
Hi.
How's it going? How was compost drop off?
Good.
Yeah. I'm drawing the letter O today.
Oh, for Geo?
For G-O, that's right. So Geo's name at birth was Casper. He has now just reclaimed the name Geo, but I think the way he likes to spell it is actually G-O. How was drop off?
Great.
Good. Frankie woke up like 5 minutes into.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, like, of course. She had like a 20-minute nap.
We were very safe, everyone.
We go on the railway, then we ride on the railway.
We drove over the train
You
tracks.
drove over the train tracks. Did you see any trains today?
No.
No? Okay. So we are going to draw... if you want to check to see if there's any questions. If you guys had any questions, Morgan is going to scroll back and just double check and see if there's anything. Someone asked me about how did you get into letterpress because I was feeding Frankie. So we already talked about that.
Awesome.
But what we're going to do now is we are going to draw some lowercase. Oh, you know what? One more thing I wanted to talk to you guys about with these capital O's. You'll notice that I kind of just like peeked above and below this baseline and the cap line. When you have a letter like O or C or G, you're just going to want to eke it out just a little bit above this cap line and this baseline, just a little teeny tiny shave of a bit. It just helps to optically balance that letter form. For some reason, it's nice when that happens. So if your O's are getting to be a little bit bigger, or if you're having issues with the size of your O's, it's better to err on the larger side than it is on the smaller side. So keep that in mind.
You're good on questions.
Okay, so we're gonna just draw over here a lowercase.
Roland's awake. He was sleeping.
Okay, we're gonna just draw a lowercase sans serif O. Kind of similar to our counterparts here, just like a little bit smaller. And you just kind of want to maintain that, you know, the similar thickness of your stroke. So here the strokes are, you know, even, here pretty even, and they're here in proportion to the sort of parent of that same letter. So those are our O's. Oh, there's some O's. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw some script O's, which are way easier to draw than your sort of perfect mono 8 sans serif O's. If you kind of struggled with this, and if you sort of struggled with the balance and sort of weight and proportion of it, then you're really going to love the script O's because it sort of throws all that out the window a little bit, and it's a lot easier to draw. So now that you guys are a little bit loose, what I'd like for you guys to do is just really relax your hand and try to draw a series of, oops, not like that. What am I doing? Oy, oy, oy. Oh, you know what I want to do first? Hold on a second. You guys can keep doing that, but I'm going to turn off my regular lines and turn on my script lines because now we have these script axis lines. Hi, Gio. Hi. So right here, you know, up here we had a very up and down axis, but we now have this beautiful angled one for your drawing pleasure. And what you really want to try to do is draw your O's so that your contrast is just tilted a little bit. And you'll see that this O just doesn't even connect here. I'm not trying to connect it, but there's just a really nice looseness in that gesture that you just want to try to capture and
Sister's talking.
and try to roll. Frankie, what are you doing? And really try to emphasize the weight in this, quadrant here. So you want this to kind of be the heaviest and this to kind of be the heaviest of that contrast, if that makes any sense. If you would like to draw some like more curly Q kind of things, you can do that. Sometimes I even just draw one side of contrast in my letter O's, depending on how that goes.
Someone says, that Eliza's mom, is that you? Wants to know, is it easier for lefties to go clockwise than counterclockwise?
I don't know. Lefties, you tell me. What do you think? How do you do that? Like this, I guess? Something like that?
It is Eliza's mom.
You can do it. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining us.
Your sister says hi too, Ariel.
Oh, what's up, Ariel? Yeah, so lefties, you tell me. I am right-handed, so I don't know how that goes, but I would love to be enlightened. So, draw a bunch of O's with that nice little axis there. Try to fill up that line.
She's a lefty, and she says it is for her easier to go the other way.
All right. Well, good to know. So you can just kind of draw some contrast there. Draw some contrast there. You'll notice that I'm kind of hitting this ascender line up here at the top. It's not meant to go up to the ascender line. This is just, I kind of just consider this like sort of kind of decoration. But like the real meat of the letter is like right here. If that makes any sense, the contrast is within the cap line. The main piece of the letter is within the cap line and the base line. So really try to capture that. If you do happen to go up to the ascender line, that's totally fine. You can even go outside of it if you want.
Hold on, love.
But of course, I just jumped off the baseline. But with the script, it's a little bit, it's a little bit looser because your lines are a little bit more fluid. So don't beat yourself up if you're trying to really stay within those lines. If you feel more comfortable, if you feel more comfortable drawing your O's in the middle of the line, go for it. If that's going to help you practice this shape, that is more beneficial than you trying to really sit there and try to fit within, a line and try to be very, 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 very careful about it. So with our lowercase O's, the lowercase O's are kind of interesting because they have a exit point that's different than their entrance point. So as if we were drawing an O in the middle of a word, we're going to come down from the baseline, unless you have like a lowercase O in front of it. We're going to start from the baseline and come up, and that was just one stroke. You'll notice that I picked my pen up here at the bottom. Let's draw that again. So coming down from below, kind of coming up almost like you're drawing a wave. And we'll do that one more time. And you almost want to think about it as the place where you stop here. Let me show you. So where you stop here, this turnaround point is almost going to be the place. See, now what I did was I picked up my pen and I stopped, and it's a little bit harder to do that. So I'm going to go back, and that's almost the part where I kind of catch it, and that's where I start my contrast. So watch that again and see how I do that. So I'm coming down up to the top, and that's the kind of point, because what I'm not trying to avoid, I'm trying to avoid going too far over. You don't want to go too far like that. And then you end up getting really clunky over here. You see that just gets a little bit heavy and gunky. You want to avoid the gunk, but you want to make sure that you're sort of catching that thickness right at that point there, because then once you fill that in, you can really refine that and make it look like no one would ever know. So to complete this letter form, we're gonna come up. We are going to pick up your pen, and then you're gonna come back over here to the top again, and you're gonna give yourself a little tail coming out of that O. So whereas other letter forms, like a lowercase e, for example, you start from the bottom and you come back out from the bottom. Your O starts from the baseline and ends up kind of somewhere here near the mean line. Now the mean line is this line right here, this dotted line. It's also referred to as the X height. And that is where all of your lowercase letters are going to, reach. So your lowercase g's, your O's, your A's, your I's. So your O's are going to reach to that point. But let's draw a couple more O's with the tail kind of following through. Maybe fill in some of that contrast so you can see how you're doing. Now, if you're drawing a O and you have let's, for example, say a lowercase h after it, you're gonna come down, you're gonna pick up your pen, and then you're gonna come back up here, and then you're gonna come back out to that. So your line here, your little tail, is actually exiting on the up side rather than it kind of going outwards like that. You're going up, because then what you're gonna do is you're gonna jump out, hop on up to the ace underline, give yourself that stroke again.
Maybe if you're missing some AH videos.
Oh,
here's
yeah.
a good review of
Oh,
AH.
yeah. Sorry, H. We recorded the H, then we lost it. We thought we had it. It just is gone. So
But there you go.
here's how you draw H. The word O with our beautiful little lowercase h. I mean, that's a shame because the H is a really beautiful letter to draw.
Maybe we'll come back around.
Yeah.
Who knows how long we're going to be locked down.
Exactly. But so when you're drawing your O and you're going up to an ace under, your exit point is going onto the outside. If you are drawing an O and you have an I, for example, usually you draw your I's like this, down from below, but you're going to be kind of jumping out. So you want to really, make sure that is a very legible connection. And if that means that your counter here is bigger than, it normally is, that's fine too. It could be because you're trying to get it to be a little bit lower. You want this swoop to be nice and deep. So like O-E, for example. So you go O. I almost want to, I don't want to go exactly up to that mean line. I'm somewhere down here below, like 3/4 way, and I'm going to jut out. So you see how I constructed that E. I don't really think there's a lot of O-E words, but there's a few.
How about like a capital O word? Can you do a capital O word?
A capital O word, yeah. The O, so the terminal on a capital O it doesn't really connect to the rest of the letter or the rest of the word. So for example, if we had see, there's no interaction with the rest of that word, unless you wanted to do something like, something like that. But you really don't want to impinge on the legibility of that. And you also don't want this to look like a Q. You know, you don't want to give yourself accidental tail.
Geo love.
And then let's do a word with a lowercase o in it. So, like in the middle of the word. Let's do good, because then you can see how it looks together with another O. We're just going to start with our G. And I'm kind of stopping there. You see how I just kind of picked up?
Excuse you, Frankie.
Gio, how's your iPad game over there, bub?
Good. It's running out of battery.
It's running out of batteries.
It's
Oh,
not,
no.
he said. It's not.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Maybe it should.
Yeah. So that is good. I would say that's pretty good. I'm trying to really keep an eye on my spacing here between my letters, try to keep that pretty consistent. And you'll see how those O's, some of them are created from below, some of them are attached from that sort of X height there. But that would be an example of something like that. Does anybody have any questions about O or any other letters that we have done so far? Morgan is looking at the screen. Careful, that might fall over. Is that balanced? That's crazy. Our very high-tech iPhone stand here with some books and a plant. It's not even a real plant. I love drawing O's, especially lowercase O's. There's just something about that little, satisfying little loop at the end, that little tail that kind of comes out. You just kind of blink. It's a little flick to the next letter.
Train.
Let me see your train, hon. Well, if we are good on questions, then that is so cool.
Did you build that one?
Wow, nice job, bud. That's so great.
Do you have any songs you'd like to sing to the class today?
Twinkle, twinkle, traffic light in a corner, standing white. Green means go, red means stop. Yellow means slow down. Twinkle, twinkle, traffic light in a corner, standing white.
Nice job. Yay.
Thanks,
so
Gio.
Our theme song, Compliments of Gio.
G-O.
G-O, spelled G-O, like go, I guess. We will be here tomorrow doing L-M-N-O-P. The letter P is really a lot of fun, another one of my favorite letters. 2 o'clock on Instagram Live, we'll be here again. If you guys have any other questions or comments, feel free to DM us. We love hearing from you. If you are psyched about what you're doing so far, why don't you tag your work? Hashtag lettering with Ladyfingers. We'd love to see what you're doing, and we'd love to share it and comment and check it out. If you guys are enjoying this class, we are so happy. This really helps us pass the time and, feel like we're not losing our minds. But we appreciate you guys and your patience with us also managing our 3 small children. It's a little bit of an adventure over here. We do have a Venmo set up in case you are in a position to be making a donation and want to make a donation. It is not required. It is not any kind of pressure whatsoever. But if you want to, we have a Venmo, and it's just in my name, A-R-L-E-Y-R-O-S-E. That's Arlie Rose, A-R-L-E-Y-R-O-S-E. To those of you who've donated, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. To those of you who've made orders on our online store, you guys are rock stars. We love you.
Thank you so much.
And you're really helping us out a ton by doing that. So why don't you guys practice some O's? Show us how you're doing. Let us know what you're excited about, what you're struggling with, and we would love to be able to help you out. So
We'll see you tomorrow.
we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.